right, well, let's get cracking. I thought we'd actually kick off with something a little bit different, and then we'll get into our target for the week. I know this is the season where we are real fired up, and I love that. And I think one of the best ways to be motivated is kind of to have yourself organized. We talked about that last week. You've heard me talk about it a lot, but one of the other things that can help are tools. Like, in addition to being organized, sometimes it's like really helpful to have a tool that you like that makes life easier. So I thought it'd be fun if we go around, and if you want to unmute yourself, you can, or you could just drop it in the comments. So first, say your name and where you're from, because you probably don't know everybody on the call, but then share your favorite like kitchen tool, whether it's like an actual appliance, or it's an actual like tool, or maybe it's just like a convenience hack that you have for food or food prep or cooking or preserving food or refrigeration or whatever. Share your favorite kitchen tool. Anybody want to go first? You got to say your name, where you live, and then your favorite kitchen tool.
I'll go first.
Do it, Linda.
So that I don't have to say, oh, that was the one I wanted to use. Okay. My name is Linda, obviously. I'm in Snohomish, Washington, and I really love, I don't know the formal name. I just call it my chopper, my dicer. How do I explain it? It kind of has this long lever, and you pound it down, has these different size squares. The blades are little squares. So you can put like, you do have to chop up your vegetables a little bit to get them kind of small, and then you set them on the blade, and then you throw the arm down. And it catches all the chopped up items in this clear catchment area that has a measurement. I don't really measure the amount that I'm using, but you could. It's just a faster, easier way to like chop things into bite-sized pieces, so I don't have to manually use a knife and chop everything.
I love it. Did you get it on Amazon? Where'd you get it?
And I think I got my first one at Williams Sonoma, that fancy kitchen store. But yeah, they're all over Amazon.
Okay. I like it. I like a time saver that makes it easier to eat vegetables. That's a win. I'm putting them in the comments so everybody can look back at them.
I'll go. I'm Leah. I live in Northern California, and my favorite tool is like the mix and chop. It's kind of like this, and it's for ground meat. Instead of having a spatula, this just like chops it up really quick. I use it all the time.
So you are grinding your own meat with it, or you're just like...
No, I'm not
tenderizing meat.
I'm chopping it while it's in the pan. You know how it kind of gets into a it looks like this. And so you just chop it all up into like crumbles instead of having to. Yeah, it's my favorite.
I like it.
Another convenience thing.
Really good.
Mine's super simple.
Go ahead, Amy.
I'll go. I'm Amy. I'm from Lake Stevens. Cast iron skillet. I literally cook everything in it, from breakfast vegetables to reheating my food for lunch to making dinner.
Maybe we need to have you do a little video for the Facebook group on how to use a cast iron, because I know a lot of people who want to start using them, but they don't know how to do it and clean them properly or season them, and so everything sticks to it.
I could do that.
Especially since you're an expert and you use it for everything. And it's good for you guys if you're iron deficient. It's good for you. I like it. Who else has one? Michelle.
I've had a couple of them, and I actually broke my last one, so I need to find a new one. But I don't know what it's called, but it looks like a little kid's plastic car, has the little wheels on both sides, and you open it up and put your garlic in there, and it has a little blade, and you just run it back and forth on the counter a couple times with the wheel, and it chops up all your garlic, because I can't stand the smell of the garlic on my fingers to chop it up. Wow. So a garlic car, I don't know.
That's what I wrote in the chat. I said, Michelle from Chelan, Washington, little car with blade to cut up garlic.
Yep. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I didn't say where I was from. Yes. Thank you.
I like it. Annette wrote, Annette, currently in Northern Virginia. My chef is my hubby, but his favorite item to use is a Pampered Chef food chopper used to mince veggies. Sounds like that's a winner. That's like what Linda has.
That one that they're talking about is a little bit different. I've seen that one. It's more circular.
I've seen that one too.
And it does a small amount, whereas the one I'm talking about, you can do a larger amount of veggies all in one whack.
Okay. Because yours is like a lever.
Yeah.
I like it. Who's
If I was
next?
downstairs, I would show you, but
You can post a picture in the Facebook group later if you want.
perfect.
I'll tell you mine. Christy Campbell from Lake Stevens, Washington, and mine is my air fryer. I use it every day, multiple times a day. I can't get enough of it. Not all air fryers are created equal. The first one I bought, I hated, and this one I love. And my kids can use it too. My boys, not Georgia, obviously. But the boys can like cook themselves a piece of steak or something in it, and it's totally like low key, easy. I love it.
I have one.
All right, Melly.
Well, so here, let me see. Can I turn my camera around? I don't know.
Yeah, you gotta say where you're from though first.
Oh, right. Melanie, I'm from Philadelphia. And this is the Pampered Chef chopper. So this is what I guess somebody else was referring to. And the lever comes up and the little thing spins around like that.
Cool.
So you can do like fresh salsa and stuff like that, or cut up an onion or mix a bunch of things together. I know my husband has tried to manually make hummus in there. Not so easy. But then this is my steamer. And I throw this into a pot of boiling water with my broccoli or whatever veggie that I want to steam. And you can pull it right out of the pot. And
Is
it's like,
Is it
it's like a
silicone or is
flexor.
it metal?
it's there. I've had a metal one before, but this one is a silicone.
Cool.
And it's super easy to wash. And it fits in just about every pot.
I've never seen a silicone one of those. That looks awesome.
Yeah, so that's a really quick one because if you want to steam your veggies real fast, as opposed to putting it in the microwave or whatever.
I like it. Like it. Thanks, Melanie. Who else has got one?
I got one. So I'm Sarah from Maryland. I would say like it's a cross between like my air fryer and my Instant Pot, because I feel like I can just throw them in, throw whatever in the air fryer, and it's the same thing. My son can like heat up his whatever chicken nugs, bagel bites, whatever, right in there, and then he's not preheating anything or getting a whole bunch of pots and pans out. But those are my two favorite things because they're super easy to clean, and you really can't go too wrong.
I love it. A lot of people buy Instant Pots and then they're afraid to try them. There is such a small learning curve, and then you're in business. So if you bought one and it's just hiding in your closet, try it. It's not hard. And I've messed it up a bunch of times and nothing bad has happened. Like I've forgotten to close the steamer. I've made it overflow. Like I've done all sorts of bad things you probably can't get away with like an old fashioned pressure cooker, but it was fine. Who else has got one? A couple more before we move on to our target. Your name, where you're from, and your favorite kitchen tool. Everybody must be like listening and actually preparing their food, so they can't talk.
Hey, it's Laura Lynn. I'm from Lake Stevens, Washington, and my favorite, so I got an induction cooktop. So if anybody's like remodeling their houses or looking for like a new stove or whatever, if you get induction, it'll boil water or get to hot in like 2 seconds compared to like even on gas or electric. So I'd say if you have the opportunity to change your cooktop, go with induction. Sorry, we're also doing construction, so it's a little loud. Sorry.
So that's like a whole new stovetop, right? That's not like
like the top of the stove is glass, but instead of like a regular electric glass, it's induction, which is like a magnetic thing under your pot. So you can use see, this is my Dutch oven and my whatever that thing is called, cast iron, and I use like both of those all the time, and it heats up like immediately. It's amazing because it's magnets. But then if you were to move your stuff off and touch the surface, it wouldn't even be hot to the touch. It's like amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm dropping the air fryer in the chat. That's the one I have. I'm not putting the one that I hate in there. No need to knock it, but that's the one I like. Sweet. Anybody else have one before we get to our target? Sam from Wyoming. She loves her Vitamix mixer. Great for blending shakes, soups, and sauces. I totally agree. I make vegetable soup in my Vitamix like multiple times a week, and I love it. And pro tip, if you don't have a Vitamix and you're trying to save some money, you can go to the Vitamix website and buy them refurbished from Vitamix, and they're like half the price and they still have all the warranty. So if you're like, I want a good blender, that's the way to do it. Get a refurbed one. Sweet. Okay, well, we're gonna get to our topic for the week. Last week we talked a little bit about taking like our big goals and like making them a little bit smaller and more practical and setting like a January specific goal. This week we're going to talk about this week only, but I'm going to kind of reverse engineer this conversation, because if you and I were having a one-on-one coaching conversation and you're telling me that you have an intention this week, so we're going to specifically talk about food, but next week we are going to move into movement, but this week is food. So if you were telling me like, I'm going to have a good week and I'm going to nail my nutrition, I would ask you, how would we know you did that? So if we fast forward to the end of the week, and this is going to be very different for each individual person. But if you were telling me or telling your coach, I crushed it this week, I had a really great week in regards to my nutrition, what would that mean? So this is your target number one. And again, we're taking big goals and we're turning them into like doable weekly things. And this is one of the most important ones, because sometimes we set intentions like, I'm going to have a great week, but we haven't even thought through how we would know we did it. How do we know we were successful? So I want you to fast forward literally right now in your mind. I want you to fast forward your brain, and you are telling your coach that you crushed it. Everything went really well in regards to your nutrition. What does that mean? It should be things you can check off. I did this, this happened, I had this boundary in place. What? You should be able to have 4 or 5 things. It doesn't need to be like 100 things, but 4 or 5 things that you're like, yep, that's the way it went. And I crushed it. I moved forward towards my goals. So that is step 1. Make that list. How would you know you had a great week? And it's going to be different for everybody in regards to your nutrition specifically. And now we are going to work it in reverse. What do you need in order for that to happen? Okay, so what needs to be in place? So say, for example, you know that you are busy and you run out the door and breakfast is one of your bugaboos. And so at the end of the week, if you were to say like, I had a really good breakfast every day, like, and that's what I crushed it, check that box. What needs to happen in order for that to exist? That is your plan. That's your action step right now. So then you would write that down. Like, I know what needs to happen. I need to get out, X, Y, and Z so that it's thawed. Or I need to order real quick. It's Sunday. It's not too late. I need to order these 3 things so that I can have them, so that I can have my quick breakfast ready to go. Or I need to take 15 minutes tonight and prep blah, blah, blah for the week so that I have it for breakfast. Same thing. Like if you were like, if lunch is your thing, and you know that if that was on your list, you told your coach, I crushed it because I was able to take lunch every single day with me to work this week. And it was a solid Fitme plate style lunch. Like I felt really great about it. It was delicious. What needs to happen in order for you to do that? That is your question to answer. And then your action is attached to that. So what needs to happen? Maybe what needs to happen is you have to write down 4 or 5 things you're going to have for dinner, because maybe dinner is actually your lunch. And so as long as dinner happens and you had a plan for dinner, then you actually have lunch for leftover the next day. So your action step right now, Sunday night, not like a thinking action step, but a doing action step, is to write down the meals you're going to have this week for dinner and to make sure you've actually got that stuff. If not, right now, tonight, order it. Or like put in the grocery order for pickup, however you do groceries at your house, or make a note that you're picking it up tomorrow. So if lunch is your thing, then you might need to have dinners planned. If a successful week for you for nutrition means that you are able to say no and have good boundaries around the snacks, around the sugar, then what needs to happen in order for you to be successful with that? Something needs to happen. One, you might need to have some kind of alternative that you like. So go ahead and get that out. Again, action oriented, go ahead and get that. Number two, it might be, saying toodaloo to the nonsense that's still there, leftover. It might be like stick it somewhere else where you're not going to see it anymore. So you might have to take action around it in order for that to happen around if snack is your thing. Whatever it is for you, there's going to be an action associated with you making that happen. And then the third and final question is, and this is what I would ask you if we were talking one-on-one, are there any obstacles that you can see that will stop you from doing that? And you've got to think about what those are. What are those potential obstacles? And once you figure those out, is there anything, again, action oriented or prep that could help you deal with those obstacles? This like mental strategy that we're going to apply for nutrition in this week, we can use this over and over and over again. And if we choose to practice this is how we create consistency. So for us at the end of the day, like we know that consistency really matters a lot more than perfection. So if we want to create some consistency with our nutrition, this is the sequence that I would challenge you to do. And so this week we are going to practice it in regards to nutrition. So I'm going to take you through it one more time, and then we'll kind of open it up and talk it through. So the first question is you fast forward your brain to the end of the week and you pretend like it's done and you crushed it. What does that mean? Be specific. What things happened that you can like check? Yup. These things all were in place, crushed it. This is exactly how I wanted it to be. Again, doesn't have to be perfect, but felt really good about it. Now that you have that, what needs to happen for each one of those to happen? And again, probably some of those actions could be little, something as small as like taking the meat out of the freezer and putting it on the counter so that I can actually cook the thing. Some of them might be a little bit bigger, like, write down my 5 dinners for the week or plan it out a little bit. It might be something, like I have to prep my breakfast so that they're ready so that I can take them. Whatever it is, there's going to be something specific that you need to do that will lead to like those checks in the boxes. And then the last pieces are there any obstacles or any things that you can see that might be a challenge for you to create that success? And define what those are. And if there's anything that you can do or anything you can ask to get help with around those, again, it gives you the opportunity to be proactive about it. And obstacles might be something like, I don't know what to cook. That could be an obstacle. So it might be like, hey, I need to get some ideas. So I either need to ask my coach, or I'm going to ask my Marco Polo group. I'm going to put it in the Facebook group tonight because I don't have a clue. What? That could be an obstacle. Or so-and-so keeps asking me to go out to lunch and I don't know what to do because I want to eat lunches that I'm packing, but so-and-so keeps asking me out. I don't want to be the only one to not go. So again, that's a potential obstacle. You could talk about it with your coach, come up with a game plan, figure out if you really can't go, or if it's something that you can just say no thanks to, but think about it in advance. And so then you're not reacting on the fly. So that's the strategy we're going to use this week. And that's your target for the week. And that's what I would like you to message your coach about. Let them know your specifics. These are the things that what I would consider success for the week. These are the actions I'm going to take and the challenges I might face. So let me hear your thoughts. Anybody have either a question or a thought around this, or want to share something specific to what popped up in your mind?
Hey, it's Virginia. Can you
Hi,
hear me?
Virginia. Yeah,
Hey, how are you?
good. It's good to see you.
Yeah, you too. So I feel like for this, so I'm doing an elimination diet and I'm like a week in. And so I feel like from that perspective, I've made my meal plans. I'm really prepped for this week. Like I had a really great last week and I feel really ready and prepared. The only hiccup I see is on Thursday. I have a really important exam that I'm doing and I'm staying overnight at a hotel. And so I'm not prepared for that. I'm not prepared for the dinner and the breakfast and the lunch because I'm really limited. Like I can't even have eggs. I'm really restricted with what I can eat. So so I think this is good because it has brought it to the forefront for me because I keep putting it on the back burner and I'm like, I'll figure it out. And I think I'm gonna get with Tara and see if I can come up with a plan to have something packed. But yeah, that's the only challenge I see.
Yeah, it's a perfect example. It's like it is easier to sort of just push it in your head. You're like, I'll figure it out later. But it might only take 5 to 10 minutes of thinking it through and you'll have a pretty good solution. Are you staying out in the boonies?
I'm in Alexandria. The exam in Alexandria. So I'm hoping, I think what I'll do is go online and try to find maybe something where I can eat, where I can get some food that might be.
Yeah, that's a good place where if you do look a little bit in advance online, you might be able to find something easily. But you may probably have to pack something too. So having a good game plan for that. Plus, if you're taking an exam, the last thing you want to do is add the additional stress of not knowing, food-wise what you want.
Right. And then being hungry. Yeah. But no, this was good. This was very good, very timely for me. So
are you doing an elimination for health reasons?
Yeah, I've had a lot of health issues and I did a food sensitivity test. And so there's about 40 things that I came up with that I'm sensitive to. So I'm trying to cut them all out to see what it is that's triggering the issues that I'm having.
I like it.
A lot of food. It just feels like a lot of food.
Mm-hmm. I have told many people, but I strongly think everybody at least one time in their life should try an elimination diet. Not for restriction's sake, but just to see what their body does best with. And the reintroduction being the most important part where you really get to bring that stuff back in and see.
Yeah. And see how I feel. So I'm hoping that this will help me get to the bottom of some of that.
Awesome. Sweet. Thanks for sharing that. I think that's a really good example. Who else has got either a thought or like something clear in their mind that they know this would be my success and this is what I'm going to have to do to achieve it? I kind of skimmed over it, but if you don't actually know what you would consider to be a successful week, that is really your first thing to tackle. And that could be some of you who are listening or listening to the replay. If you're like, I have no idea what would be considered a successful week, well, then that's the first thing to tackle with your coach.
One thing that I have not been doing is eating lunch. Time has been getting away. I've been sleeping in. It's just like, I don't know why. And Marlena said it the other day in the group. She's like, I am packing my lunch, in a container because she had some time off and putting it in the fridge, even though I'm going to be home. And so I did that one day and I actually ate it. And I feel like the things that get in my way are I'm in a hurry. So I'm running off somewhere and I'm like, oh, I'll figure it out later. Or I don't have food cooked. So even if the food is cooked though, if it's not in the container, I don't know. There's something about the container. Like I had no excuse. Like it was in there. It was prepared. All I had to do is grab it. And so that is something that makes my week like good nutritionally because I don't want to eat low calorie. I don't want to go to low calorie land.
When did you put the food together so that you were ready to have it for lunch?
The night before.
Okay.
Like when I'm picking up my dinner, I just got the container out and put it in there. And I actually may do more than I like do 3, and then I have 3 days that I don't have to worry about, like, I'm running out of the house. Who cares? I'll grab a granola bar or something.
Yeah. So for you, like, if we talked at the end of the week and every single day at dinner, you just put aside your, lunch for tomorrow, already ready to rock, that would be a really successful week. And it sounds like a big step forward from what you were kind of doing as like your default setting.
My January goal is to eat 3 meals a day and not skip any.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of mind blowing just having it in the fridge made, even though I was home all day. I was like, wow, that worked.
Mm-hmm. I really relate to that, because even if you work from home, it doesn't necessarily mean it's easy to eat. If you're busy, it's still easy to just either skip it or grab something that's not what you want. I've noticed for me that my linchpin is simply having something thawed so that I can throw it in the air fryer. If it is thawed, I will easily throw it in and I'll eat it and put together like a quick, like really nice Fitme Play lunch. If there is nothing thawed, I skip it. So morning routine for me has been to pull something out and put it on the counter. I'll pull out one of those single fish fillets or something like that, and then I'm in business. Really similar. Anybody else have one more thing or anything, a question before we wrap up? This is a very action-oriented target for the week. So I want you to do the thing. I really want you to not just think about this and be like, that's a good topic. Like, it's only a good topic if you go through the motions. And even if this is something that you already are kind of doing, it's still great practice. Like, go ahead and write some of this down, because you're probably going to learn something from the process. Verbalize it out loud to your coach, even if you feel like you already know it. What a successful week looks like for you. Like, that's really a tangible thing. Because if you're saying like, I ate healthy, that sounds great. But like, again, how do you know you did it? Like, what was it about the week that made you feel like you ate healthy? What was it that you said no to, or that you had good boundaries around, that made you feel that way? When you can define those things, it starts to be very empowering, because you can look for those and create those. And it's a lot less about like, well, this week just got away from me, and more about like, just took a little bit of thought and planning, and I was able to follow through. And it wasn't as hard as I made it feel in my head. And it's really specific and different for everybody. For some people, it's going to be intentionally, the planning part that equals success. For other people, it's boundaries. For other people, it's making sure you're eating. I mean, it's very different for each person. Another person, it might be like not obsessing over some part of the food. And that's how you tell your coach that this was successful, because I didn't, have this issue with this food. And the reason I didn't was because I did X, Y, and Z. So really good. Thank you guys for sharing all of your tools. I'm going to take a real quick pic before we sign off. So if you want, turn on your camera. I love this topic. I'm excited to hear everybody's thoughts and what you put into action. And if you have a tool that you want to share in the Facebook group, drop it in there, because people need ideas. All right, guys, ready? 1, 2, 3. You have the perfect, just regular picture up. It looks exactly the same as like a selfie smile. It's awesome. So you guys have a fantastic week. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye, guys.